Hey all. I'm in a moment that I think others will be able to relate to. And so in the spirit of kindness, love, and gratitude, I think that it's important that we as human beings be transparent about both the victory and the struggle. And today feels like a struggle for me. So this time of year, it's the end of packing season. I have multiple 100 miles in the backcountry under my belt, lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, come home, scramble to get ready for the next trip. Nothing new necessarily, but I'm just recognizing that I'm feeling down. I'm more easily discouraged. My thoughts are more scattered. I'm more pessimistic. I'm probably more short-tempered. I'm just more fragile in general, and I just don't feel super good. And so mentally, and I've been here before. I know what this feeling feels like. It feels biochemical for me rather than environmental. And what I mean by that, and something that I've learned over the years, is when I feel, depression at a low level begin to kind of creep into me, it often happens as a result of just lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, too much physical exertion, high levels of activity, and I think I just get wore down. I had a friend, Clive, who's just this beautiful man, who one time told me, because he's always he always is like in awe of the amount of like things I get done, things I do, and it's fair to call me of an overdoer. Not just a high level doer, but just an overdoer where other things suffer. And so I'm striving to, find some balance in that. It's interesting. Our culture really edifies and reveres people who get a lot done, but there's always a consequence to that. And I think that, I really just try to hold myself not in public opinion of that stuff, but just checking in deeply, are the things that really matter, languishing as a result of my overdoing things like, my relationships and, activities that bring joy and recreation, and not such a focus just on doing. And so I'm doing what I do to kind of re-normalize my energetic self when I feel myself get here, because if I can settle back in physically and emotionally, then my body has time to catch up kind of biochemically. And so I do things like, and this sounds silly, but I'm parked in the parking lot of the gym right now. I'm going to go and do a little workout that's light. I really look forward to the sauna, because the sauna is a transition for me. And then I have made an appointment with a good friend, to have lunch and just a leisure conversation, and the ability to be vulnerable in that setting and kind of just speak it. But the reality is nothing has changed in my external environment. No, it's not like I have bad news on the frontier, or I have, things are actually, really in a super great position in terms of crafting my life and crafting how I want things to look, and, ideals and objectives and all that sort of stuff. And my relationships are as good as they've ever been. So it's not like, or internal introspection. I don't have like shame about the way that I'm, doing things or how my life is going. So when I can kind of look at that and say, okay, well, here's what I know, but here's how I feel, and those two things are different, then I realize I'm just dealing kind of with what I deal with this time of year sometimes, which is I'm just wore down, and my body is beginning to respond with, some things like discouragement, and, my biochemistry, I think it creeps into sometimes low level depression, and it's intermittent, and I transition through it through, doing those things that get back to me, and catching up and sleeping well and pulling some of the pressure off and having some leisure time. And usually these things will show up and last for a few days sometimes. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because I think that a lot of times our culture, in its reverence for strength and fortitude and grit and all those other things, doesn't acknowledge or publicly, doesn't publicly, it feels vulnerable to publicly share weakness. And what I would say, and I often say, is that you're either on the problem train or the solution train. And sometimes the solution train is about acknowledging just where you are and then creating kind of a structure around you that can help you to transition through that, and being gentle and not, self-loathing of the position that you're in, or, thinking that that means that somehow you're less, or those sort of things. Because essentially, when that's another thing is that when you're, if you're on a human scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your ultimate self, 1 being, close to death, when I find myself creeping down to like that 6 and 5, where it just feels like there's no gas in the tank and the future looks bleak and all those other things, but I really try to focus in on, okay, has something really literally changed? Is there, what is the difference between what I know and what I feel? And if there's a difference there, then I realize I just need to begin starting to take care of my body and doing things that are self-soothing behaviors, and doing things that refill the gas tank and get my reserves back up, because I know, kind of what's going on. Now, for some people, those things are different, but I'm just kind of sharing with you my process, and then also what I make it mean about me. It's so critical to have moments where you're in these vulnerable moments, and you be kind to yourself, be grateful for what's going on, and then being loving in the process, and how you kind of contribute back to buttressing back up that foundation that has you standing on stable ground again. So I thought I would share that, because again, in this day and age, it seems like people kind of want to just share the fluffy stuff up on top and look all shiny and bright. And I think it's important to share moments that are authentically difficult and struggle, and I think it's important to be honest publicly. So anyway, I hope this ends up being helpful for somebody who may find themselves in a similar situation, and no, I'm all good. I feel super solid. I know that this is temporary. I know that this is a point where I'm transitioning through. I've had enough life experience of kind of tipping into these little places, and I know, because of how my body works, what to do to kind of pull back out and be gentle in the process. So I'm all good. But at the same time, I'm at a 5 or a 6, and just recognizing that and sharing with you my process. So anyway, hope you find that helpful. Marc Warnke, the Goat Guy, signing out.